Stefan told that he cannot make it today. So it'll be just the four of us, I guess.
Yeah, I was kind of curious what updates there were at this point. I didn't really think there was.
Uh, in that other meeting invite, I just put last week's to-dos. Let me see if I can get to it. 1 second.
I did show the survey to my boss and some others, like, hey, what's your guys' feedback? Just what do you think? And my boss came up with a couple of interesting questions along the lines of, well, his first thing was, this is long.
Oh.
And then he was like, okay, well, who's actually reading this data? Why is the data being collected? Because there's a lot of stuff in there that's one of those, it's nice to know, but is it relevant for features? Like country. Good to know, but not relevant for how you should implement features. And I couldn't answer those questions, so now I'm just bringing it up to you guys of like, those are good questions. I don't know the answers.
I think for the hardware vendors, certainly some of the information will be useful. But again, from a feature standpoint, software feature standpoint, I don't know if we get to know, okay, lots of people are using caching feature. Yeah, we know cache tiering, of course, is not something that many people use. Red Hat doesn't support it. Only SUSE supports it. What are the other caching options? Those kind of things. But it's not going any further into it as to which caching option. There are a number of caching options, right? Feature-wise, it doesn't provide any such details. We just get to know kind of, yes, we use it or we don't. Was wondering if there is any way of making this better, either to help identify features. There are some questions though. Things like, what is your primary interest in which category, right? So last time and the previous time as well, performance was the highest that they were concerned. Most of them said it's performance that they would want to go after. So in general, it would help. Well, let's focus on all the performance-related features. What can we do to make Ceph faster? But again, it's only at that level, not deeper into, okay, which features can help, right? So from an Intel side, I know that we focused on the NVMe technology because Ceph is written for hard disk drives, and it's not taking any advantage of the NVMe technology. So how do we make that better? Right? And that from there came off the Crimson project. So yeah, I mean, it's really very high level. Should we make it deeper, or if this is the right user survey, is the right forum to collect that kind of detail? I wonder if that's even possible. Maybe getting configuration details, deployment details, those kind of things might be more helpful just to see, can we give better improvements in how we deploy Ceph, whether it's the media type underlying the storage layer, where do we put metadata, where do we put the data, and what media types, those kind of details. Even things like, disk form factors, that could be a big one for CSPs versus enterprise. What type of drives are they looking for? Such information certainly will be helpful, but I don't know beyond that.
I can answer the drives right now. Big, fast, cheap.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes. In fact, they'll apply it to the entire BOM, right, for the server. Disk for Ceph, it's the highest, but still.
I'm trying to convince Supermicro to build me a custom AMD box. My little 1U with 12 drives in it, but I want it driven by an EPYC chip instead of two Skylakes. They're like, well, there's not really a demand for it. I'm like, yes, there is, please.
Yeah.
I can commit to like 4. I know that's crap, but
Build it and they will come.
I know it's gonna be. Oh God,
I mean, they have a million other freaking configurations.
Well, with Supermicro?
Yeah.
Yeah. Have you ever looked
They're
at
very
the
much
product
still
line?
focusing on
Impossible
Intel
to
processors, right? Sorry, Anthony, what were you telling?
Yeah, look at their product line. They have like a million models, and it's often difficult to tell them apart.
So, Paul, I'm curious if you gave your boss the context that it's not exactly technically it's not all these questions. Only all these questions if
We talked about that. It's how it'll call off with things like, do you use the Rados gateway? No, and it just skips that chunk. But,
yeah. So I mean, have you actually counted like how many questions it is? Say if you chose just RBD, right? So if there's 60 questions, they're kind of divided up. So your chances are, if you are using all the components, that's the worst case. And I don't really think that there's really, I mean, the number of questions is always going to come up, I think. But I think what's important is just making sure that, we don't actually add more, but we just make quality out of the number that we already have allocated. We've already shown that there's at least even with poor planning and the user survey from last year with just myself, we were able to still get somewhat of a turnout of results. So, and I think we'll get better. That just comes from promoting and actually convincing people that this is actually something worth to take time on. So
given the timeline, Mike, for this year, should we still stick to the same format that it has been going on so far?
What timeline is that?
Is it November end or mid-December, right? That's when the user survey has to go out, Mike, if I'm correct.
Yeah, so we usually do have the survey go out around December, if earlier if we can, and then we usually end everything around March, and then spend the time from there to collect to figure out the results and everything. I don't really see any reason that there needs to that we need to stick to the timeline, I guess. But if we can, people kind of expect it at the same time, I guess.
Is the old survey still up, or could it be put up so I could click through it and get a feel for the flow again, and then take notes of like, wow, this part was painful?
That's a good idea. Let me re-enable the survey, and I'll email our group thread about it, and then so you all could poke around at it.
Because I mean, the final result looks huge, but you're right. If it does have a good flow when you're taking it, then there's no reason to change it.
Right. It's just the content, right? The format can still be the same, and if we have to fill in more valuable questions, for the overall populace, keeping everybody in mind. That's one thing. Out of the 60 questions, what are the ones which we might have to retain or change? Because things have changed, right? Either in technology or in the deployment. Some platforms might have become more popular. Those kind of things. I think that spreadsheet doesn't certainly, the content is there. Maybe, Mike, is there a place where like Google Docs that we can all put our edits in there?
Yeah, I can do it. You can upload it to yourself if you have an account. At some point, we will have a OneCloud instance thing for Ceph, but anybody's able.
I can do that. I can put it on a Google Docs, but I think either the end of this month or mid-December, Intel is moving away from Google Docs. So I might not have access beyond that, but I can put that till such time. Pardon me?
Do you have a personal account?
I can do, yeah, with my Gmail personal account, I can do that. Would that be okay? Just to put it with using my personal account?
Yeah. Yeah, okay. It's pretty much the same. So.
Sure. Yeah. Let me take that one. So, yeah, I can put that across, and everybody else can put their comments or edit those. So one other thing that was there last time that we spoke was that'll happen only next week, right, Mike? The meeting with the Ceph team, the board, with the Ceph board. Your meeting is on the 12th, I guess.
Yeah. So let me see. Yeah, it's going to be on the 12th.
So this is basically for checking if they can promote it, right? The user survey. The board members can take that to their organizations and see how can we increase the promotion of this survey.
Yes, I will set an agenda item.
Okay. So again, that also is an open item.
We have other things we're discussing right now because we're trying to figure out virtual events and things like that right now too. So.
Yeah. So I think there are basically three things, right? One is the content. What question should be put in there? Whether what we have is good enough, or what should we change? That's one. The second, we are agreeing that the format in which you have been pushing that is still a good one. But if you re-enable it, we can go through the flow and decide whether anything needs to be changed there. And the third one is basically promotion, right? Beyond going through your board, are there other ways of promoting it? Where should we promote it? Those are the three things.
Obviously on the user list and on the Slack channel.
I found it from the user list. I don't go to the blog anywhere near enough.
Is that already going there, Mike? Those two lists are included?
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm just going over the spreadsheet that was sent last time, trying to think of anything that feels like a whole. And this looks nice overall.
Wish I could see it.
I'm surprised someone is running it on power. I mean, that's interesting. You can see. You don't have a copy of the spreadsheet that was sent.
I've seen nothing of a spreadsheet.
Oh, Anthony.
I asked 4 or 5 times for it.
Let me see. I'll just forward this again. The one that I sent last time we met. I sent it to the group.
You're on the list, but that doesn't mean it didn't get eaten by the internet. The only thing in here that the only thing that's jumping out as missing is RDMA. But I'm not certain that's even on the roadmap to continue being supported.
I see it was sent to Anthony 8 days ago, but I'll send it again. So.
Oh, I just found it in my spam folder, actually. Never mind.
Did you get it? Okay.
It was an actual attachment, not a link. Oh, okay, so this is the results from last year?
Yeah, it should have both 2018 and 19.
Oh, I see tabs. Yeah, I know in previous years, one of the things that dissuaded me from responding to surveys was that the surveys at the time were written for people who had one cluster, and so it was difficult, if not impossible, to answer when you had 20 clusters with a variety of technologies and usages and versions. So I seem to recall that last year was a bit better in that respect.
Yeah, I tried to improve that. I mean, you can definitely go through the survey multiple times.
That's what we ended up doing at my previous job. We did it once for block and once for object.
Yeah. Yeah, you could do that. I mean, originally, I did have the survey set up to where you could say, like, all right, I have 3 clusters, and then it was like 3 times 60 questions if you're using all the components in all the clusters. So, which I just wasn't expecting people to actually fill out, but that's great.
I just basically ignored my small cluster.
Mm-hmm.
Answered from the big one.
So are we saying that it would help to communicate that if you want to report multiple clusters, fill out the survey multiple times? Or are we saying that we want to make that a way that you can specify that in the survey somehow?
That might not be a bad question. Does this survey answer reflect multiple clusters or a single? Because there's the question of how many clusters. Well, we have how many clusters does this information represent? I think
right. I was just going to say we do support that case. So.
But.
Yeah, that was the whole point of that question, was to support that case, exactly. So.
Yeah, and word is such that nobody thinks that they're supposed to fill the whole thing out for every cluster, as opposed to if you have 2 or 3 classes,
Okay, well, maybe it would make sense then on the user survey landing page, as well as instructions at the very beginning of the survey, to specify that maybe, so that people know, and then we can make sense of the results better that way.
Yeah, I think for this year, somewhere around question 29, it would be good to add, are you actually able to use Ceph ADM?
Right.
Is there anything in here about containerized OSDs?
I do believe that there are some relevant questions to Rook.
Looking for it.
And perhaps Ceph container as well.
There's use case of using it in the container, but I'm saying like deploying the OSD in containers kind of stuff.
Yeah, which with Octopus doesn't necessarily mean RUG. I would think that would be another choice for 29. To add to 29.
So I understand why you would want to.
Are you referring to containerized platforms like OpenShift?
I was just thinking, like, I don't know. I see people talking about deploying Ceph using containers, and it boggles my mind in that, because I want to get stuff as low and hard down to the metal as can be to get everything I can. And all these people are like, let's put all these layers in between. Like,
one of the things is that with upstream supporting a limited number of OSs, it's really easy to get to the point where you can't upgrade to the new OS because of the OS that you're running on your metal. And if you're in a larger organization where you can't just randomly say, oh, we're going to go, install Ubuntu 20, whatever they're calling it, because, there's a lot of overhead if you have considerable automation, that needs to get updated. It might take you a year. At my last company, we were just starting, a year ago, we were just starting to update to Bionic from Trusty. And so upgrading was a real problem even. I was making advantage of the fact that the Ubuntu people were building Luminous packages for Bionic that upstream wasn't. So what I'm getting at is one of the reasons for containers is to divorce what Ceph needs from what the metal needs, because what you run on the metal is not necessarily under your control, and you can't keep updating the OS, and especially if you're running CentOS, which like from CentOS 6 to 7, I don't think there's a way to upgrade in place. You have to reimage the node. And so there's for example, I think from 7 to 8 there might be, but so there's a considerable amount of work there, and it's like we all have other things to do. And so one of the ideas of running the daemons and containers is that the deployment image contains everything it needs, and it doesn't, Ceph doesn't need to care about what's running on the metal.
I could see that I have to keep in mind that being .edu, I am so crazy flexible in some of the stuff I can do.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like, I'm going to upgrade to Red Hat 8. So I'm going to just, because we have a site license for Red Hat for campus, so I just test it, make sure it works, kickstart the node, Ansible the node, re-import the OSDs, done, it's on 8, that kind of thing. But I haven't done that yet. I'm planning it. I'm almost there.
But if your daemons are running in containers, you wouldn't have to care whether Ceph natively ran on 8. Because you look, all the issues we have had with Python versions, there have been library issues in the past. So, I'm sure that part of it is also containers are what's cool this month or this couple of years.
Right.
Until, some new trend comes out in a couple years. But,
well, you must have heard, right? Both VMware and Red Hat, while VMware is trying to have containers within the VMs, Red Hat is trying to have a VM within the container. There are multiple efforts going on there. And at least the pure VMs have already caught on. And containers also are becoming popular, right? OpenShift is catching up. So from a platform standpoint, what I was thinking was if I'll say definitely put this on the Google Docs, the spreadsheet, and share it with you all. If we start editing those questions and putting our ideas, maybe we'll get to some. And also, if Mike, you are re-enabling the survey, it'll help both in terms of getting our content list right. after that, maybe in our next call, we can decide, hey, these are the list of questions that should go. And probably there we can prioritize them. These should be the most critical ones that should go, and the rest are optional, whatever we are going to decide.
Yeah, I'd like to see, like for question 59, an A option.
So I just dropped in the link to the survey. It's enabled right now. It's kind of annoying though, because you have to answer the questions to get through everything. So feel free to put in BS answers. It doesn't matter at this point. But I'm going to see if I can give you all access to the actual survey interface itself, like to edit it, because then you'll be able to click through a lot easier. So.
Oh, I sent the other link, I think, Mike, which was, let me see here, which was that one?
Now, another question. In the spreadsheet, there are a few things where the text is in red. What does that designate?
Well, those were the questions that were missing in the 2019 survey, but they were in the 2018 survey.
Gotcha.
Did anyone? Am I muted? No, I'm not muted. Did anyone answer research for organization type? Because there's the other, please specify. I'm curious if that was, or if someone was like, well, I'm academic research, so I'll just do that. I don't know how many pure research ones would be in there. Right. Just curiosity. Following up using.
Yeah, that probably overlaps some of the other categories.
It almost seems like organization type should be checkbox instead of radio, I think. So it's like I'm academic and research, or I'm commercial and research.
That's a good point.
Academic and government, because we get a lot of government grants, but I'm in academia. So, and
I support that.
That'd be a good thing. How long have I been using Ceph? I don't even remember.
Well, 1.1% contributing documentation. This is one reason why I do documentation.
I sent you a link to a Google Pad. See if you can access it. Mike, you had sent this, and we had put that initial response from Intel, right? What we had seen and the feedback. If everybody has access to that link, then we can use that pad also to make entries.
Oh, in the
chat box.
Chat here. Okay. Etherpad, loading. I can reach the Etherpad.
Okay.
Type in it. Let's see if I can type
it. Should be editable, I think.
Okay, I can type.
Yeah, great.
All right.
Should we use that then, just to put our comments, or is that good enough?
Well, do you use SSD backend for Ceph is redundant? But I'll go through there and I can add comments, I think, to the Etherpad.
In the meantime, let me get to Google Docs and Docs.
Not everybody is cool enough to have used Etherpad a lot.
Right.
Never used this, and it looks cool. I'd love to use NVMe rulers. Don't have any.
Yeah, I need somebody other than Intel to make EDSFF drives. And I had some vendor claim to me that somebody else was going to jump on there, but I haven't seen them yet. But yeah, I mean, consider something like, long format EDSF QLC drives for challenging, for high density challenging, an RGW or any other write once, read once in a while workload. I think that would be real interesting, but I need for somebody who's not super micro to do it, and I need to not have a single drive vendor, because I have enough problems with drives, having engaged vendors on no fewer than 3 fatal firmware flaws on drives. I'm not going to invest in any technology that's only sold by a single vendor. Anybody out there have 1.8-inch disk drives? Yeah.
Pass.
Yeah.
They really just never caught on. Even the 1-inch micro drives did better than they did. But then CF caught up.
I'm just having issues trying to find the 7mm tall NVMe drives that are not crap. Because I want to put journals in those. It'd be fantastic, but I need to be really beefy. Well, nope. That's not even a crazy edge case.
Ceph.
Do I see any caching benefits? I didn't when I played with it.
Which one? No, like a DM cache?
Oh God, it was years ago.
Ceph has a cache
I don't remember anymore. I was playing around with cache tiering, both on the pool level and on the host level and all sorts of other things. And it basically came down to I had so much RAM in the machines, it was irrelevant.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah.
And for whatever my read-write load was, I saw no real difference with a lot more complexity. But that's me. Which caching methods? RAM. All of the RAM. Yeah. Where's CephFS? Let me see the questions we got for this, because I am leaning so heavily on that. I want to make sure we have good questions.
Right. Yes.
We're switching everything to CephFS that we possibly can. It's fantastic.
Oh, CephFS?
Yep. Although I can't switch my backup to it. It crushes it into the ground. Looking at the answers.
Okay. I have it here. How do I share it? Let me share this.
Yeah, on this Etherpad, there's a lot of redundancy in these questions.
There is, yeah. Just about to send this to.
Commercial vendor was one that was dropped last year. VMware access methods, who cares? What are the interfaces used on the cloud?
And
right, so what are we waiting for something on the call here? We are no, we're all waiting for each other.
Just need to make sure the next steps, right? We'll basically add our comments to the content of questions in this. I'm just about to send this Google Docs.
Okay.
And then if we have ideas of where and how to promote it beyond the user group list, the Ceph users and the blog. And Mike is going to ask with the board members if they can promote it within their orgs or other means that they have. And format, I think, again, going through the Ceph survey, if we think that's good, we'll continue with it. If not, put in some comments as to what change we need.
Yeah, I think the foundation is good, and it's best to tweak it rather than start over from scratch, especially if we want it to ever actually go out. I think there's more good in here than things that need changed.
Yeah, you should have gotten an invite to the shared doc, the spreadsheet.
Yep.
Except somehow Stefan's email ID, it's not taking.
Also, I'll be working on trying to get you all access to the interface to edit the survey. Well,
would we be able to just make comments there, or?
He said it was just to make it easier to go through and see all the questions.
Oh, right. Okay.
Hopefully the questions also have numbers in there, because I'm trying to look at like question 35, 43, and 55 are all do you use CephFS? And I wanted to go see the context of why it was asked 3 times, because it might make sense in the flow of the survey, but in the result it's kind of like, huh?
Yeah, it might make sense for some of these where we add in the condition if this particular question has already been answered. Yeah, so good point.
But
yeah,
this just purely looking at answers, it doesn't make any sense.
So like we discussed last time, Mike, in this survey, even before we begin with this, the way it shows up now, I'm going through the survey link that you sent. Should we have a opening page that would have some categories and they can choose which to answer first, or whatever is their interest, instead of going through this few pages one after the other? Would that make that I think it was Paul's comment that if we have that first page, if we have some categories in the Ceph survey page, instead of listing the questions, you provide them an option of, let's say configurations, deployments, or cluster, what else? User interface, those kinds of higher level categories, and then they'll dive into those set of questions.
Yeah, so I do remember Paul bringing that up. I'm open to changing how we change that flow. The current flow is somewhat similar to where it's, which components do you use, and then we show the pages based on those answers. So I'm open to suggestions on that.
it didn't feel like that was asked to me in this survey.
Right.
Like I didn't, there wasn't a big, like, I want to answer RBD and this, and then you hit go and it'll cycle through it. It's just kind of, it feels like I'm meandering. I know you're saying there's logic behind it. I believe there's logic behind it, but it doesn't feel that way from the experience point of view. I don't know. When I hit next, I have no clue what's showing up next. Where first question was, hi, I'm education, I'm in this country. Okay, maybe the next slide is, okay, do you use RBD, this? That's the whole slide.
Is it one question per page? I hate surveys like that.
That's not like that. It's still chunked up, but it didn't. It's okay. The first slide should be demographic of me. Is it one cluster or multiple clusters, stuff like that. Second should be what features you use. And then from that, it builds the rest of the survey with conditionals.
Okay, so page 4 is what asks all these questions. You use this, and this, and this.
Which I'm not even at that yet.
So page 4 should be moved to page 2 is what you're saying.
I'm almost at 4. Give me 1 second. Next. Crap, I missed a question.
This should also be on the spreadsheet as well, right?
Yeah.
It should be, but I'm trying to feel the flow. Okay, there's platforms. Fine, I use it with KVM. Why not? Next. Use cases, then block storage, then it. I think I'm past page 4.
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now, and page 4 says what platforms. Says what platforms do you use RBD interface in your cluster? Do you use RGW interface in your cluster? Do you use Ceph file system in your cluster? Do you use the Ceph dashboard? So I think that's all we're saying is just move those questions to page 2.
No, the beginning page, Mike, as you open this survey, right? It takes you to.
Okay, so the first page then.
Yeah, it'll basically just open up that.
All right, so page.
When it goes, when I open up that survey, it'll just go to that organization type, right? That will be the first question that appears.
Correct. That's why I'm saying right now, these questions that you're asking about are on page 4. So let's move those questions from page 4 to page 1. Yes?
I'm looking
at that would be one option. But if I understood Paul correctly last time, it was basically saying instead of that first question there, you give kind of a menu list of different categories of questions, right? Ceph configuration, Ceph deployments, or those kind of things. And then we click on that and it'll take you to those set of questions belonging to that category. You appropriately, right? So it is not like a sequential, like a flow here, a sequence.
I think this will make more sense for me if I could just see, like, Paul list out page 1, here are the questions. Page 2, here are the questions. Right. You could try to explain this all the ways, but I need to visually see it. I'm sorry.
Can I share this? I'm using the web client. I don't know if it'll let me. Oh, I can share screen. Maybe. Oh God, now where is my window? Survey. You are sharing your screen. I have no actual indication if it is truly sharing my screen.
We can see, yes.
So you see that?
It's too small, though, but we are just going over the page. We don't have to see
but you get the point where it starts off organization, then why are you using Ceph? How long are you using it? And it immediately jumps into, is telemetry turned on? Do you participate in it? And then there's the giant list of countries. And there's wish lists and things there. If this feels more like it was, oh my God, why are you digging so much phone? Mute.
Right. So I get this. This has been repeated multiple times. I'm asking what we want to see.
But, I haven't found a slide that looks Right, because here's slide 2, OSs, cache tiering, things like that. 3, I get what hardware, processors, types, and then 4, just do you use RBD? If slide 2 was instead of just do you use RBD, there's do you use RBD? Do you use Router's Gateway? Do you use the iSCSI Gateway? Do you use that kind of stuff on slide 2? Then from that, all the conditionals on will work. So if I said yes, I use RBD, then page 3, 4, 5 are RBD questions. If I said yes to Router's Gateway, what number was I on? 6, 7, and 8 are going to be those questions. But it feels very shotgunny.
So if you look at that spreadsheet, it's all kind of you have some.
So can I interrupt for a second? I see what the problem is because I'm looking at the form logic. Thanks. It's if display the question only if certain condition is met. So RBD, if do you use RBD block is equal to no, then display the other one, which is odd.
Oh,
yeah, so that's the problem right there.
That ain't right.
Right.
So yes.
Yeah, so
this slide as number 2, but without that part.
There we go. So yeah, let's just fix that logic and then
that makes sense as to why you weren't seeing what we're seeing.
Right.
And maybe have it be instead of a yes, no, have it be the check boxes. Which.
I'm also confused.
Features.
Why is this not in the spreadsheet then? Like we should be able to see in the spreadsheet that was shared out, right? That these are all the possible ways. So.
The spreadsheet doesn't really show the flow.
Yeah. I think it's really going to help once I figure out in this survey interface how to share you all how to edit. So
I don't need to be sharing anymore.
Right. No, in the spreadsheet, it will certainly help to put those categories of questions, right? Like what Paul was mentioning. We can bucket them like that and then put that in that sequence into the survey. Even if it is conditional, we can still make that comment in the spreadsheet. Okay, we have 4 more minutes to go. And so what will be our, we basically know our next steps, right? Go through the spreadsheet and use the survey and then add comments. I think it'll be better to put it in the spreadsheet, right? Than all the comments, what we want to do. Even for the promotion piece, if you have ideas, just put it in there. And basically those through, and the format will automatically get covered depending on what we decide with the content and the flow. Correct. So those would be the 3 things. The first one is basically to go through the content and put your comments in the spreadsheet, both in the whichever category you want, which questions you want, and then in which bucket you want. And then the next one is go through the survey itself and see what do you feel about the flow, which would help us format it in whichever way we want. And in the spreadsheet, add some comments about ideas from promoting it to elsewhere, whichever way, any ideas on that. With that, probably, we are covering all the 3 items: content, format, and then the promotion piece. Is there anything else, Paul or Anthony? Any other things we need to cover?
Here I am talking to the mute again. I'm going through adding comments to the spreadsheet shared via docs.google.
Okay. I can't add Stefan. I don't know how he can participate. It's not accepting his email ID. Anything else? When should we meet next? That's another point, right? Yeah. Next week or the week after? Any suggestions?
I don't see any counterindications to next week. I would suggest sending out another survey for days from like the 12th through the 16th.
Yeah, after the 12th would be better, certainly, because by then Mike will also have some update from the board on the promotion piece.
I probably won't have much of an update, right? It's just
okay.
You're going to tell them to promote it, and it's if they promote it or not. Hopefully, we'll see the results on social media, right?
Yeah. Basically, you'll be putting that request, right? But we would not know unless somebody tells no, we can't do it.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be a big deal. I'm just going to burn it up amongst the other agenda items. But and then like I said, I'll also work on trying to get you all access to the survey admin interface thing so that you can poke around at that too. So, and that should make it a little bit easier.
How about the 16th? 16th should be good that week.
Yeah, sure.
Good time.
Even next week works fine for me. So.
All right.
Whenever the doodle's sent out, just fill in my availability because I'm so.
Yeah, I'll basically
everywhere.
send another doodle poll invite.
That's the only way because I mean, every time you add another person, it just gets exponentially worse. Trying to do it asynchronously.
Yeah, let me do that. Okay. I'll send out the meeting notes, and then we'll meet next time. We have some work to do.
Yeah, so right. I do think that before we meet next, we should probably be focusing on like the ordering of the questions and hopefully removing questions or editing questions, but not adding more questions.
Yeah, that's also there, right? How many questions would be 60 is too much?
How about if I spend time to go look at other surveys, like the OpenStack survey, and there's plenty of successful surveys out there. So go look at them and see how many questions that they're asking and what the turnout is. I know that isn't exactly what our turnout is going to be, but it is seeming like if an amount that we could look at that people are willing to fill out an idea.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Paul, you were telling something.
Oh, I don't remember anymore. That train just went right through my head.
All right.
You got to remember, it's 7:00 here. I'm done thinking for the day.
I haven't for like a little over 2 days now. So.
All right then. Looks like we have what we want, right, for the next call.
Yup.
Okay.
I'm looking forward to see if I can get in the the admin interface to the survey because I want to see how it's built and that because I just mentally keep coming back to the flow of we'll get better uptake, better people doing it if they can see how it's going to be, if it feels. Because 60 questions isn't that terrible if it's couple quick check boxes next, couple check it next. You can rip through it, and it makes sense. I'm looking forward to that. We're 3 minutes over. I'm gonna shut up. I'm gonna drink some rum. That's what I'm gonna go do. And look at election results.
All right.
That's a long week.
Rum.
All right. Thank you, everyone, for your time.
Yeah, I picked the wrong week to not start taking amphetamines.
All right.
All right.
Hey, thanks, everyone.
Bye for now.
Thank
Talk
you
to
for
you
your
next
time.
week. Bye.
Sure.
Bye.